Hi, this is Umair back with another programming tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be talk about Android development with Android Studio. So there are different components that I will be talking in this video, and this video is for beginners who wants to learn Android development and just started learning with Android Studio. So I'll be talking about the navigation from one page to another page. I will talk about how to add a click event on this button so that when we click on this button it should navigate to another activity, and add a click event on all the major elements that I am going to add in this second activity: the text box, the radio buttons, and the text box for the result, and the done button. And I'll be also talking about the different styling techniques, that how to define generic style in our folders and use that style in all the elements that required that style. I'm not going to be using individual styles for each element, but I'm going to do some best practices so that I may define that particular style and use that in all these elements that require that particular style. So make sure you comment below and like this video, subscribe my channel for more video if you haven't yet. So what you need to do first is to go to oracle.com, just google it, JDK stands for Java Development Kit, and you will come right here, and in here you need to click on this link and download the JDK latest version. Once you download it, you install it in your system with default settings. Alright, so once you install it, you need to go to this link, C program files Java JDK, and it shows the version of JDK and bin. I need to copy this link and I need to go to the properties of my system. I'm using Windows 10. In your system you can right click and go to the properties of your system, click on advanced system settings, click on environment variable, and just click on the path, and after that just edit. Right now I have already added this link right here. In your case, if you are a beginner and haven't set up the JDK in your system, it shouldn't be here, and in order to add this in here, just click on new and you will paste that link in here. After that you need to click on OK and click on OK as well. Alright, your JDK will be set up in your system. Once you set up your JDK, you need to download and install Android Studio in your system. So go to developer.android.com studio, and from here you can click on this link and download it in your system. Alright, so once you download it, install it with the default settings. Alright, so once you install it and open Android Studio, you will see this window right here. Alright, this is the start window of Android Studio. Is showing me welcome to Android Studio. So I'm going to be showing you some things that you need to consider. So I'm going to click on configure. Inside the configure, first of all, just check for update. Alright, if you don't have any updated version of Android Studio, then you must update your Android Studio. Right now I was out of Android development for 4 or 5 months, so that's why it's showing me I didn't update the Android Studio. But I would recommend you to update and restart Android Studio if it shows this new version. Alright, so after that you need to click on this SDK manager. This is very important. Alright, and right now you can see that it is showing me these things. It means that if you are using Android phone, you must know that there are different versions of Android. Nowadays the latest version of Android is 7.1.1, that is a Marshmallow. Alright, and what you need to do is to check all these checkboxes and install these Android versions. These are the packages that are required to build your applications that you will develop in Android Studio. If you haven't installed any particular version in this SDK and you try to build your application will not work in that particular version. Alright, so you must install any version that you want your application to work in your Android phone that has that version. I'm not go right now very limited phones have 3.0 or less than it, but you must select 3.0 and above that select to 7.1.1. As I told that I'm out of Android development for 4-5 months, that's why it's showing me these check boxes. I didn't install these packages, but I would recommend you to go and install it. It will take too much time. It is about 30 to 40 GB of size. It's too much, all right, but once you do it, it gets easy for you, all right. But I will develop an application for my simple Android Lollipop version 4.0. okay, so cancel it. Now I need to go back and let's start creating a new Android application project. So I'll click on start a new Android application project. All right, so right now in here I need to set up the project location where I want that project to be stored in my directory, and above that I need to set the name of my project. So I'm going to name it test app. All right, actually I'm going to create a calculator app that is going to be for the beginners, because for creating advanced application in Android Studio you must know the basics of Android development. So I'll be covering all those basics of Android Studio in this application. So just leave it as it is. If you have your own company, just change it to your company name. All right, so now I have set it up and click on next, and I need to set the minimum SDK, that what should be the minimum SDK of your application where your application should run, and below that version your application will not run. Nowadays very less phone have 4.0 and all the latest phone have 7.0 versions, so you don't need to be worried about it. Just select this one and PC and tablet. I'll click on next and I'll set the blank activity. It gives us some default activities with the predefined styles for different kinds of applications, for Google Maps, for login activity, but we are going to develop our application from the start and we are going to design our user interface from the start. So I'm going to click on blank activity, just click on next, and just when you create a new application I would recommend you to keep it as it is. These are the default activity names. Activities are the one page inside our app. All right, in this image this is the one page, this is the one page, and this is the image that I taken from an article that I wrote a while ago, and in this video I'm going to cover up that article that I wrote. Okay, so now let's click on finish. It's taking some time for creating my project. It's building up the project with the Gradle. Gradle is a new tool that is used to deploy and maintain our project, and it helps us to identify different versions of Android and build our application for all those versions. It's really flexible, it's really maintainable, and it's really helpful. All right, so it has created our project, and what you need to do, you need to wait for it. So and click on this project icon on the left side. Okay, so it's loading my project. Right now it is showing me some pages: main activity.java, content underscore main dot XAML. All right, so I want it to render first so that I want to see the screen. Right now you can see that it's showing me a default UI. On the left side, let me tell you, this is the manifest, Android manifest. Inside the manifest we define different properties of our application. We define the name of our application, we define how many activities our application will have, means how many pages our application will have, what is the version of our application, on what versions our application will run. So I'll come back to this file later on. For now, just keep in mind that this is the used to define the introduction of our application. All right, let's remove it. Now inside the Java I have two packages. Go to the first package and click on main activity. All right, this is the activity that is the Java file, and we start writing code, the backend code inside it. All right, and each Java file have its UI file. If you're not talking about fragments, that is advanced topic. I'll talk about that advanced topics in my coming videos in Android Studio. Alright, so what you need to go to the REST file. REST file means the resource files. Resource file means all the media files, images, all the audio files. You need to store that things in this REST file, and each of those values have different folders. Alright, I'm going to talk about the layout right now. Inside the layout I have activity main. Alright, so for now it has created me two layouts. I'm going to delete the content main. I don't need it. If it is created in your case, just delete that out. Alright, let me check out the usage. So it's showing me that this is the usage of it. I'm going to remove this up so that it may not show me any kind of error. Alright, so now I'm going to click on delete and click on OK. So it has deleted that activity. So now you are looking at the design view of my main activity underscore main.xml file. So what is XML file? XML is used to design the user interface for our application. Alright, right now at the bottom you can see there is a design button and there is a text button. The text buttons show me the XML and design shows me the UI, the look and feel of that XML that I have written in this text file, in this activity underscore main file. And this activity, this user interface must have some backend file with the same name, but that starts with the capital letters, the camel case letters. Okay, so activity underscore main, and this is the main activity. Alright, it doesn't have underscore, and the main and activity without underscores. Okay, so this XML file is having this main activity file for writing the Java code that for the elements that I'll be adding in this activity. Alright, so everything that is I'm going to add, like text box, radio buttons will be accessed with this main activity.java. If you want to apply some operational code, loops, if statements, then we can write in this main activity.java. Alright, so so far so good. First of all, we need to design our user interface for our simple calculator application. So now let's go and design our application. Right now you can see that we have a top blue header and we have a floating button and an icon, kind of a message icon on this button. We need to remove that thing and remove that header thing from this layout. Alright, because we just have our text boxes for applying the calculations and adding our radio buttons and simple click event on the simple button. So let's go to the text view of that layout, and what I'm going to do is first I'm going to remove this code. Alright, and I'm gonna save it, and I will go back and check this out if that button goes. So this button goes because I removed the floating button code from the back end. Okay, now I need to remove the header. A header really important for main applications that I'll be making tutorials on those after that. Okay, so I'll remove that thing up as well. So if I go back, and you can see that header gone as well. Alright, and now what I want to do is I don't want the coordinator layout. In this application it doesn't require. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just select this much code and I'm going to change its name to relative layout. Alright, if I go back, and you can see that on the right side the component tree is showing me that all the elements that I'm adding in that layout, and right now I'm just having the relative layout, so it's showing me the relative layout. If I keep on adding other elements, it's showing me all the parent-child relationships of all the elements in the tree format. Alright, so now we are setting up our layout. First we need to do is just on this palette window, just drop down, and I need to drag this plain text in this relative layout window. So as I have left this plain text element on this relative layout, you can see that it is the child of relative layout. Alright, if I go to the text view, you can see that inside the relative tag, relative element, I have this edit text element. Edit text starts with just like HTML, we start with this sign and edit text and end it with the slash and this icon. Okay, and same is we can also end that relative layout simply by adding right here, but we wanted to add the children inside the relative layout, so that's why we added another relative layout word with this /. Alright, so inside this edit text I have just edited it up. Now we need to modify it a bit. Let's go to the design view, and on the right side you can see that I have some properties of this edit text. Alright, I have width, height, I can add a margin, but right now in the width just change it to 200 dp. dp stands for density pixels, and that we can also write pxl for the pixels, px. So what dp does is it stretch out all the width of this element based on the screen size we are running our applications. If we enter px, the same size will be shown for the large screen mobile phones and for the small screen mobile phones. So dp will automatically handle the problem of large and small screens. Alright, so now let's go text. As you can see that it has been updated in our XML file. We also need to change the height. We can also do it from here as well. Just change it to 50 dp. Alright, it will add up. Now the ID is the main thing. This ID will be used to access this element and fetch the value that is entered inside this text box. Alright, and we can then apply the calculation of calculator with this ID. Okay, and after that I need to set it to align to parent. That's good. And right now let's add the background. So for adding the properties in this edit text, I can write Android background, and inside it I need to add some color. I can also add it by adding it up in the resource files. Right now it is showing me, but I can directly add my hexa code. So I will enter F5FFB3. that is a yellow color. You can see that it has been updated. Alright, so again I don't want the top margin right here. Okay, actually let's add 10 dp top margin. Okay, you can see that the top margin has been applied. Now let's go and drag another plain text right here. Alright, so it has been added, and update the width and height with the previous edit text. Copy the 2 lines from the previous edit text and paste it and replace these things with it. Alright, and it has an ID, edit text 2. Alright, and it has a layout below with an ID. This is this property is for telling the XML that you must be below the previous edit text. So in order to let it know that where is the previous edit text, we can use the ID of edit text 1 to let it know that you must be below that edit text. Alright, if I go back, you can see that it has been extended. Right now just copy these lines as well and paste it right here, and I'm going to change it the top attribute from here, and I can set it, let's say just keep it 10. Alright, you can see that there is a margin at the top and the color of this text box have been changed as well. Alright, so another thing that I want to do is I want to restrict it that this text box should only contain numbers. Alright, so I can set the input type to number. Alright, let's copy this line and paste it in the text box 2 as well. Alright, so we have updated the 2 text boxes. Now we need to add our radio buttons. Alright, radio buttons should be horizontally well aligned. So to align each radio buttons, and when we select one radio button, the all other radio buttons should be deselected. So in order to do that, we can use radio group. Alright, so let's drag this out and paste it right here. So we have added our radio group right here. So you can see that this is the radio group. What I want to do is I want to set out its properties. So let's change its properties from 250 dp, its width, and its height would be 50 dp. Okay, 50 dp. Alright, so if I go back, you can see that it has been updated. Okay, now we need to tell it that you must be below the edit text 2, so it has already been added. Alright, so now we must tell it, actually I'm not going to do it right now. Let's come right here and remove this code as well, because it was showing me some errors. And after that I'm going to give it some ID, the radio group ID. So I'm going to write Android ID equals to at plus ID slash, and I'm going to name it radio group. Alright, so I've set it out its ID, and after that I need to set that the children of this radio group must be aligned horizontally. Alright, so I can write Android layout center horizontal. Alright, so in this I need to set it to true, so the children of this radio group will be aligned horizontally. Alright, so I need to set its margin as well. So let's copy this line and paste it right here. So let's change it to 16. Alright, and after that I need to also set it orientation, and it should be horizontal. Okay, right now I haven't added any children inside it, so it will not show up. So I need to also add a few more properties, 1 or 2, but first I need to add some children inside it. Alright, so rather than dragging it out, I can directly write XML inside it. So let's add radio button. Alright, it's asking me let's add wrap content. Wrap content will add up the width and height as much as the content inside it. Alright, so after that I need to set its value, that what should be shown with the radio button. First we need to show a plus sign. So text equals to, not equals, it's a colon, that has to be plus. Actually it's equal. I was trying to set out, I was thinking like it's a CSS. Okay, so Android colon layout underscore margin left, and that has to be 20 dp. Alright, and lastly we need to add an ID of it, because in the backend code we also need to check if any particular radio button is selected or not. So in the backend code we can do it only with the ID, so we also need to assign it some ID as well. So equals to at plus ID slash add, and add is the ID of this radio button. All right, uh, it's giving me the some warnings. All right, the reason is that I'm not assigning the values in the text box in this radio button uh, on from the resource. The good practice is that we assign all the string values inside the resource and then use that resource while assigning the value to these properties. I'm doing it directly inside it just to show you that you can also do it, but uh, as I move further, I will also show you that how to add a resource and use that resource in this layout. All right, I'll do it with the button that I'll be adding at last. Okay, so I'm done with the first radio button. Okay, so I'm going to copy this line, this code, and paste it and change it to minus and change the ID to sub. Okay, let's go to the design view and it's rendering up. You can see that the radio button with the plus and minus sign are showing up. All right, so let's copy both of these radio buttons and let's paste it. Okay, it's showing me error. I need to update it. Okay, so I'm going to update it with an ID mul and I'm going to update it with an ID div. Okay, let's go to the design view. So you can see that all the radio buttons have been shown up. Okay, so let's remove the margin left from the first radio button so that whole things get towards left side. All right, so you can see that it has been shifted towards left side. All right, let's change the text inside it. Let's change it to multiply and let's change it to no, let's Control Z, change it to multiply because the ID is mul, and change it to division because the ID is division. It should be updated in here. You can see that all the things have been updated inside it, and after that we need to add a text view inside it to get the result of calculation of the values that we will enter in the above two text boxes. All right, so from here I'm not going to enter plain text because I don't want that text box to be editable, but I will go up and drag this plain text and paste it under it. All right, so now I will go back here and you can see that out of that radio group it has been shown up in my XML. All right, and inside it again I need to change it 200 dp width and height is 50 dp. All right, and I have this new text. I want to remove it from here and I want to change its ID to result text. All right, let's add another property to increase the size. So text size, it should be 20 dp. All right, so that's been done. It should be below the radio group. I added the ID to the radio group because of this reason. I wanted to tell this text view to below it. All right, and let's copy this line, layout center horizontal, and paste it right here as well. All right, and after that I need to add a background to it as well. So let's go to the top and copy the background property code. So let's copy it and paste it right here. All right, so let's go to the design view and you can see that this has been updated. Actually, let's remove it and see if any change occur. So nothing has been changed, so this text view will not be editable. All right, so our layout have been done. Now lastly we need to add a button inside it. So to add a button, let's drag this button and paste it right here, leave it right here. Okay, you can see that the new button have been added. Let's go to the text view, and you can see that the button have been added inside it. Make sure you follow the same steps, because if you do the button before the text view, you will not be able to align it. You will face a lot of problems, because I needed to enter an ID, and the button is being aligned with respect to the ID of that result text. All right, so it will not be updated as respect to this text view. So do it in the same sequence that I'm doing. Okay, but you can see that there is a text new button. Okay, so let me first change out the properties, then I'll show you that how can I create the generic resource, and then I'll use that resource to update the value of this button. Okay, so let me first change these things. So I'm going to add 120 dp, and the height is let me say 40 dp. Okay, and I also want to add a margin top. Okay, so let me add the margin top, margin not margin top, but I need to start it with layout. So margin top equals to, and the margin top should be 20 dp. Alright, and next thing is that we have an ID, it's been done, and align start. Let's copy this line and paste it right here. Alright, if I go to the design view, you can see that the margin top have been applied, and align start, let's remove this line. Okay, if I go to the design view, you can see that the button have been shifted to the center of our layout. All right, so now one thing that I want to show you is now let's go to the resource, and let's go to the values, and inside the values I can set the color, generic color, I can set the generic styles, I can set the generic strings. So right now this is the string, so I need to open up the string, and it has already containing few string elements that is being used for name of this app and for the settings. I don't know where it is using, but I need to add another tag, string name equals to, and I'm going to give it the name of that string. That will be the key, and with that key we can use the value inside this element. So let's add OK button. This is the key, and inside it what I want to show on that button, let's say I want to show done. Alright, so I have added that generic resource inside this strings.xml. Now let's go to the activity main, and inside it, alright, I need to use that resource. So in order to use that resource, I can call at, and it's showing me that where you want to call that resource. So I can call, it's showing me the hint, so I have set out OK button. Alright, if I go back, and you can see that it has been updated with the value of that element that have added. Alright, so we are done with the user interface of our application. Now open up the main activity.java from inside the Java folder, and inside it there is a package called com.mycompany.www.testapp, and inside this file you can see that there is bunch of code already written. What we need to work on is the onCreate function. Alright, and you can see that main activity is the class name, and it is extending the app compat activity. Alright, this needs to be extended. This is the parent of this class, and inside this onCreate function you can see that we are sending out whenever the application starts, this function executes. Alright, and it is sending out the save instance state. First we need to call the onCreate function of the super class, this is the class, and we need to send out this variable to that super class. Alright, and after that we are setting out the layout, that what should be the layout of this backend Java class. Alright, I'm saying that set content view, go to the resource, This is the resource, and inside this resource go to the layout folder, and inside this layout folder go to and select activity underscore main and set it out as the XML file for this main activity.java class. Alright, and after that I'm just commenting out this code because we don't need this code right now because we removed some code from the XML as well when we created our new project. Alright, now we need to fetch all these elements and set out the reference of all these elements in the variables in this code. Alright, so first we need to assign some variables inside it. So let's add edit text. This is the data type, and let's add two variables for the edit text because we have two text boxes for the edit text type. And let's add edit text 1 and edit text 2. Alright, these are the two variables, and after that we have 4 radio buttons. So let's add the variables. I'm not initializing it, I'm just declaring it right now. So let's add the radio button as data type, and let's define 4 variables. Let's add, sub, mul, and div. Alright, and after that I have the result text box, so that has the data type a text view TV. Alright, and at the end let's add the btn for the button. And after that let's get the reference of all those elements by fetching out the IDs of individual elements. Alright, so after that let's add edit text 1 equals to find view by ID, and inside it we need to give out the ID. So to fetch the ID of any particular element, we can go to the resource dot ID dot and the name of that ID, and that is the edit text for the first edit text box. Alright, it's showing me that it's not compatible with the data type. I need to typecast it to the data type that is this, because I'm storing it in the edit text type variable. Alright, and let's copy this line and paste it below. Let's change it to the second variable and fetch the second variable with the second ID. Alright, because you can see that in the edit text I have this ID and this ID with the 2 at the end. Alright, so I have fetched out. Now we need to fetch out the, let's copy this line, all the radio buttons. So let's change it to add. Alright, and change it to radio button because this is the typecasting, and change the ID. The ID of add is add. Alright, let's copy this line and paste it 3 more times because we have 4 radio buttons. So change the variable name to sub, change it to mul, and change it to div. Alright, and also keep changing the IDs. Alright, these are the variables, so div and div. Alright, and after that we have a TW and the button reference. So TV equals to the text view find view by ID, and inside it r.id.result text. Alright, I'm going to copy this line and paste it right here. Alright, btn, this is the variable, and this is the button. Change it to button because button is the ID of our button. So this is how we can get the reference of all these elements that are in this XML file. Make sure that these elements must be in that XML file that we are setting out here, set content view. Alright, so we have set it out and get it out the reference of all these elements. Now we need to set up the click event or a touch event on the mobile device on this button. Alright, whenever we will click on this button, it's going to check out that if there is a value in the text boxes or not, and which radio button is selected, which radio button is not selected, and then show the result in specific text box area. Alright, so we have fetched out this button in the variable button. Alright, and with this button we can set the click event listener. So set on click listener, and inside it new view dot on click listener. Alright, so it's showing me error because the class anonymous class derived from onClick listener must either be declared abstract or implement abstract method onClick. Alright, so it's saying me that I need to implement the abstract method inside it. So let's click on this. Alright, implement methods. It has onClick method because it's an interface. So I have clicked OK. So it's loading up, and you can see that it has implemented the onClick function that was in this interface. Alright. If you don't know interface, then you must know what is Java, object-oriented programming, and its basic concepts. Alright, so now inside this onClick function, I need to check if these two text boxes are filled up with the values or not. Alright, so for that we can write if, let's add the brackets, not edit text one dot get text. This is the function that we can use to get the value that we will enter inside that text box, dot toString dot equals empty. Alright, and after that add another condition for the second text. Alright, let's copy this code. Alright, and paste it right here. Okay, and after that let's add the curly braces, and I'm gonna change it from edit text 1 to edit text 2. Alright, so in here I am checking out if any of those text boxes are empty or not. If any of those text boxes are empty, then we are not going to process the calculations because empty have no value. Okay, so if both have been filled up, then we can process after that. Let's add an else where we will show the error message that please fill out the messages. So now in here I'm going to get the number 1, and I can pass inside the text box. We will enter a number, but that will actually be a string, so we need to pass it into an integer. So integer dot parse int, and then we can just call the edit text 1 dot get text dot toString. Alright, so I have got the number of in integer format after passing it out, and I'm copying this line from num1 to num2 and change it to edit text 2 as well. Alright, so after that I'm going to define a new variable result of integer type, and if add dot is checked, that is a function that is used if the add radio button is checked or not. Add is a variable that is taking the reference of add radio button. Okay, it's giving me error variable is text from within the inner class needs to be declared final. Alright, so let's change it to final, add the final, so you can see that the error have been removed. Okay, and inside it I'm going to put the result with the num1 plus num2. Alright, and after that I'm going to set this result in the third text box, and the third text box we have the reference in this variable. Alright, so we can use tv.setText string dot value of result. Alright, TV has to be final as well. Final is used to set the constant value for any variable. So the result will be an integer, alright, because it's an integer type, but the TV should have a string. So that's why I'm converting the result to string and storing it and setting it out on the text view. So I'm going to copy this code, okay, and paste it again, and I'm going to check it if sub is checked. If the subtraction icon is checked, then I'm going to num1 minus num2, and then I'm going to set out the result in TV. Alright, so I'm going to copy this code again for the multiplication. So I'm going to check if the mul is checked, and then I'm going to multiply these two numbers. Alright, and last time let's add if div is checked, then divide these numbers by the division operator. Alright, so we are done with it. Inside the else, I'm going to use a pop-up window. In that window, I'm going to show the error message. Please make sure that you enter all the values inside those text boxes. Okay, so I'm going to use toast. Toast means to show up a pop-up window inside the Android. So toast dot make text. Alright, and I'm going to set out, it needs a context, so get application context will set up its context, and after that I need to set up the string, and the string would be the input values. Let's say that we want to show input values should not be empty. Alright, and after that I need to set it toast dot, if we want to show up the error message for a long time or a short time, let's add the length short. Okay, and after that I will show up this toast. Okay, so we are done with our backend code. It is calculating all the operations on those values that we will enter in these text boxes, and when we will click on this button, this click event will fired, and it's gonna call and execute this whole code. Okay, so that's been done. Now we need to test our application. There are two ways that we can test our application. One is the best way. If you have an Android device, then just connect your Android device with the system and go to the settings and switch on the debugger mode in your Android device, and once you are done with it, just click on this play button and it will open up right here. Alright, so right now I'm not connecting with any device in my system because I'm an iPhone user, but I will show you how to configure the emulator inside Android Studio and test the application inside that emulator. So click on this launch emulator button. Alright, and you must have created and configured few Android devices as an emulator inside Android Studio. If it doesn't show anything, what you need to do, you need to just click on this button. Alright, and it's gonna show up this window. I have already created 4 virtual devices. Alright, if you want to create your own virtual device, what you need to do, just click on create virtual device, and you need to select any device that you want to test. I mainly select the Nexus 5 device. Alright, and once you select it, click on next, and right here you need to select the version that you want to test with. It's always a good practice to test our application with the lower version. So I'm going to click on Lollipop and click next, and this is the name of this device, and this is the dimension, this is the Lollipop version, and scale has to be auto, and if our application is portrait, landscape, these are the things that we need to set up, and after that we need to click on finish. That I'm not going to do in your case. If you haven't set up the emulator, you need to click on finish. Alright, so let's cancel it. And once you will create that thing or finish it, that device will be show up here right now. All right, and you can see that I have created 4 application, and these are the 3 buttons. What you need to do in here, just click on this play button, and it will take around 5 to 10 minutes, and it will open up a device, because the emulator will be too slow as compared to the original device, and it will take up the RAM and the processing speed of your system. So that's why it's getting true. And I've already opened up this emulator right here. I waited it for about 10 minutes, and when you will run it, it will start up that whole Android device. And right now I have just tested it out. Okay, so let's remove it. All right, so just click on this button. When you will run the emulator, all the text boxes will be empty and nothing radio button will be selected. All right, this will be whole empty. All right, this is the whole Android device. We can also go to the menu and the home screen of this Android device, but we need to test our application. So what if we keep these text boxes empty? Let's click on done. If we see any toast or not. All right, so you can see that we saw some error message, input values shouldn't be empty. All right, because we added our else block. Inside the else block we showed up a pop-up window. Now let's add some values. Click on this text box, it will show up like this. All right, it will not be added with the keyboard keys because it's an Android device. So let's add 36 and click on this plus icon, plus radio button. Select this up. It's getting slow. Let's select this up and click on done. Okay, you can see that it has printed out the result, the summation of these two values. Let's click on the subtraction and click done. It's giving me the correct result. Let's select the division. It's giving me the 0. All right, so our application is working pretty fine. So that was it for this video. In this video I didn't explain too much, but for the beginners that was too much. All right, because I know I start the how to make project and how to make the user interface and get the reference of the different elements of the interface gets a bit tough, but in the next videos I'll be making some more things that I think that is required for developing large applications, specifically for Android. So in the next 2 videos I'm going to talk about how to create custom styles in Android Studio, so that when we want to apply any style on an element like text box or a button, then there are bunch of buttons in our applications applying the same color, same theme, same styling. So we don't need to apply each and every element its own style. Rather we create a global style and then we will apply that global style on that element. Alright, so I'm going to create that thing. The second video that I'm going to create how to use Git and GitHub with Android Studio, so that you may able to up your project on the online repository. Alright, so make sure you thumbs up this video and like this button and comment below if you have any questions. Share it with your fellows. Thanks for watching this video.